There's a profound mystery in being one of God's chosen, a calling that sets a person apart for a divine purpose that few can truly comprehend. The chosen walk a unique path, marked not by comfort or ease, but by a deep spiritual journey that requires strength, faith, and often solitude. It is not a path of arrogance, but one of humility, as the chosen are called to draw closer to God, away from the distractions and influences of the world. This solitude, however, creates a tension. How can the chosen fulfill their mission while often feeling distant from others? Why does God allow seasons of separation in their lives? These are questions many wrestle with, but the answer lies in the very essence of the calling. As C.S. Lewis, one of the most profound Christian thinkers, observed, spiritual battles and true transformation often occur in the quiet moments, far from the noise of the crowd. It is in these moments that God shapes and refines His chosen. If you've ever felt the pull of this calling or the weight of walking a path less traveled, you are not alone. Subscribe to this channel and join a community dedicated to exploring God's purpose for the chosen ones. Together, let us walk boldly in faith. The call to solitude. The call to solitude is not an easy one to embrace, but for the chosen, it is essential. To walk closely with God often requires stepping away from the noise of the world, finding refuge in the quiet spaces where His voice can be heard. This isn't merely about physical isolation, but a deeper spiritual stillness, a sacred pause where the soul can align with its Creator. For the chosen, solitude is not a punishment. It is a divine invitation to draw closer to God, to be molded by His hand for a higher purpose. Throughout Scripture, we see countless examples of solitude being used by God to prepare His chosen ones. Moses encountered God in the stillness of the desert, far from the chaos of Egypt. Elijah heard the Lord not in the earthquake or the fire, but in the gentle whisper on the mountainside. Even Jesus Himself often retreated to solitary places to pray, to connect with the Father, and to strengthen His spirit for the mission ahead. These moments of stillness are not incidental. They are integral to fulfilling God's plan. For the chosen, solitude serves as a spiritual workshop where distractions fall away and the refining work of God begins. It is in these quiet moments that doubts are addressed, faith is strengthened, and clarity is found. In the world's constant noise, the voice of God can become drowned out, but in solitude, it becomes unmistakable. This stillness allows the chosen to hear His guidance, understand His will, and prepare for the tasks they are called to undertake. Yet, embracing solitude is not without its challenges. Humans are social creatures, designed to connect and share life with others. For the chosen, this natural inclination often collides with the need to step back, to say no to certain relationships or environments that could dilute their focus on God. This tension can feel isolating, even painful, but it is also deeply transformative. The chosen are reminded that their ultimate companionship is with God, the one who knows their heart and their calling better than anyone else. Emotionally, solitude can feel like walking through a wilderness. Doubts may creep in, questions about worth, purpose, or whether the isolation is truly necessary. But this wilderness is fertile ground for spiritual growth. Here, the chosen learn to rely not on the validation of others, but on the steadfast presence of God. They discover that His love is enough, His strength is sufficient, and His plans are always for their good. The rewards of solitude are profound. In these moments, the chosen experience a deeper intimacy with God, one that surpasses the superficial connections often found in the world. They learn to trust Him completely, to lean on His wisdom and timing. This closeness fuels their mission, enabling them to carry out their purpose with clarity and conviction. Solitude becomes not a place of loneliness, but a sanctuary where peace, strength, and joy are renewed. C.S. Lewis eloquently described this process in his reflections on the inner life of believers. He noted that true spiritual transformation happens away from the crowd, in the quiet spaces where the soul is laid bare before God. For the chosen, solitude is not a retreat from responsibility, but a preparation for it. It is a place where God sharpens their vision, hones their character, and equips them with the spiritual tools needed to fulfill their calling. For those who are chosen, the call to solitude is both a challenge and a gift. It requires stepping away from the world's noise and distractions, yet it offers the incomparable reward of walking closely with God. In solitude, the chosen find their true identity, not in the eyes of others, but in the presence of their Creator. They discover that their worth is not tied to their accomplishments or relationships, but is rooted in the love and purpose God has placed within them. If you are feeling the pull towards solitude, do not resist it. See it as an opportunity to grow, to listen, and to be shaped by the one who calls you his own. Trust that the stillness is not empty, but filled with divine purpose. Let go of the fear of being alone and embrace the peace that comes from knowing you are never truly by yourself. God is with you in the quiet, preparing you for the work ahead. Solitude is not a detour on the path of the chosen. It is the path itself. It is the place where God whispers his plans, strengthens the spirit, and transforms the heart. For the chosen, this call is not merely an option, it is a necessity. Answer it with faith, and you will find a depth of purpose and connection that can only come from walking closely with God. The spiritual challenges of community. For the chosen, being surrounded by others often brings with it a unique set of spiritual challenges. While the human heart craves connection, the chosen must tread carefully in their interactions with the world. The very essence of their calling requires a level of spiritual sensitivity and focus that can be easily disrupted by the noise, distractions, and influences of community life. This creates a tension between their desire for connection and their need to preserve their divine purpose. The chosen often carry a heightened awareness of the spiritual dynamics around them. Every environment, every conversation, and every relationship carries energy, some uplifting, others draining. In community settings, the diversity of these energies can be overwhelming. The chosen, like finely tuned instruments, are deeply affected by the vibrations of those around them. A room filled with conflict, gossip, or worldly pursuits can feel stifling, even suffocating, as it clashes with the peace and clarity they strive to maintain in their walk with God. This sensitivity is not a weakness, but a divine design. The chosen are equipped with an acute spiritual radar that allows them to discern what aligns with God's will and what does not. However, this discernment comes at a cost. Being constantly exposed to the noise and distractions of community life can cloud their connection to God, making it harder to hear His voice amidst the chaos. Over time, this spiritual interference can lead to feelings of confusion, exhaustion, and even frustration, as the chosen struggle to stay aligned with their purpose. Worldly distractions are another significant challenge. In a society obsessed with material success, social status, and instant gratification, the chosen often find themselves out of step with mainstream culture. They may feel a disconnect when others prioritize pursuits that seem shallow or fleeting compared to the eternal significance of God's calling. This disconnect can lead to feelings of alienation, as the chosen wrestle with their place in a world that often values the temporal over the eternal. Moreover, the chosen are frequently misunderstood. Their need for solitude may be misinterpreted as aloofness, their focus on spiritual matters mistaken for arrogance, or their rejection of certain social norms seen as judgmental. These misconceptions can create friction in relationships, adding another layer of difficulty to navigating community life. The chosen may feel the weight of trying to explain themselves, only to realize that their path cannot be fully understood by those who have not been called to walk it. In light of these challenges, the chosen must take deliberate steps to guard their spiritual connection with God. This does not mean rejecting community altogether, but approaching it with discernment. They must choose their environments carefully, ensuring that the spaces they inhabit support their spiritual growth rather than hinder it. This might mean saying no to certain invitations or stepping away from relationships that pull them away from their purpose. Prayer and intentional time with God become essential tools for maintaining spiritual clarity amidst the noise. In these moments of communion, the chosen can realign their hearts, lay down the burdens of misunderstanding, and recharge their spirits. It is in God's presence that they find the strength to engage with the world without being consumed by it. C.S. Lewis, in Mere Christianity, speaks to the importance of guarding one's spiritual core. He emphasizes that the Christian life is not about conforming to societal pressures, but about being transformed by God's truth. For the chosen, this transformation requires vigilance, a constant tuning of their hearts to God's voice. Community, while valuable, must never take precedence over their relationship with the Creator. Ultimately, the challenges of community serve a purpose in the chosen's journey. They teach the importance of boundaries, the power of discernment, and the necessity of prioritizing God above all else. Through these struggles, the chosen grow stronger, learning to balance their role as lights in the world with their need to stay deeply rooted in God's presence. For those who are chosen, the world will always present distractions and challenges. Yet by guarding their spiritual connection and trusting in God's guidance, they can navigate these complexities with grace. It is not an easy path, but it is one that leads to deeper intimacy with God and a greater fulfillment of His purpose. C.S. Lewis's wisdom on spiritual solitude. C.S. Lewis, one of the most profound Christian thinkers of the 20th century, understood the transformative power of solitude and its critical role in the spiritual life of believers. In his works, particularly Mere Christianity and the Screwtape Letters, Lewis provides timeless insights into the necessity of withdrawing from the distractions of the world to align with God's will. His observations resonate deeply with the experiences of the chosen ones, those called by God to walk a path set apart. In Mere Christianity, Lewis reflects on the inward journey of the Christian, emphasizing that true transformation begins within the soul. He writes that the process of becoming aligned with God is not something that can occur amidst constant noise and distraction. Instead, it requires intentional separation from the world's chaos to create space for divine communion. Lewis believed that the greatest spiritual battles are not fought in public arenas, but in the quiet moments when a believer wrestles with God and surrenders their will to His. For the chosen, this solitude is not a luxury, but a necessity. Their heightened spiritual sensitivity demands stillness, a retreat from the constant barrage of external influences that can cloud their connection to God. Lewis captures this beautifully in the Screwtape Letters, where the demon Screwtape advises his apprentice to keep humans perpetually distracted. Screwtape reveals that noise, superficiality, and the pressures of social conformity are powerful tools to prevent believers from hearing the still, small voice of God. Lewis warns that the world, under the enemy's influence, thrives on keeping people so preoccupied that they lose sight of their spiritual purpose. This concept is particularly relevant to the chosen ones, who are often called to higher levels of spiritual awareness and responsibility. They must navigate a world filled with distractions while safeguarding their connection to God. Lewis reminds us that solitude is not merely about escaping the world, but about intentionally creating a sanctuary where God can work in the depths of the soul. It is in these moments of stillness that the chosen can hear God's whispers, receive His guidance, and be strengthened for their mission. Lewis also recognized the cost of solitude. He understood that stepping away from the crowd can feel isolating, even lonely. In Mere Christianity, he addresses the Christian's need to choose God's will over the approval of others, acknowledging the tension between walking a narrow path and the human desire for companionship. For the chosen, this tension is a constant reality. Yet, Lewis encourages believers to see this solitude as an opportunity for deeper intimacy with God, a place where true identity and purpose are revealed. Furthermore, Lewis believed that solitude refines the soul, making it more resilient against the enemy's attacks. In the Screwtape Letters, he highlights how moments of quiet reflection allow believers to discern truth from deception, strengthening their resolve to resist temptation. For the chosen, these moments are essential in preparing them to fulfill their calling with clarity and conviction. C.S. Lewis's wisdom offers profound encouragement to the chosen ones. His writings affirm that their seasons of solitude are not only necessary, but purposeful. In the stillness, they are shaped by God, gaining the strength and insight needed to navigate a noisy world. Solitude is not a rejection of community, but a preparation for meaningful engagement, a way for the chosen to carry God's light into the world without being dimmed by its distractions. For the chosen, Lewis's words are a reminder that their path, though solitary at times, is filled with divine purpose. In embracing spiritual solitude, they align themselves with God's truth, becoming vessels of His love and wisdom. As Lewis so poignantly teaches, it is in the quiet spaces that the chosen find their greatest strength, preparing them to shine brightly in a world longing for His light. Recognizing the signs of a chosen life. The life of a chosen one is not marked by earthly accolades or material success, but by distinct spiritual markers that reveal their divine calling. Resilience, authenticity, and spiritual awareness are among the defining characteristics of those whom God has set apart for a higher purpose. These traits not only shape the chosen one's journey, but also set them apart as vessels for His plan. One of the clearest signs of a chosen life is resilience, a steadfastness in the face of adversity. The chosen often encounter challenges that seem insurmountable to others, yet they emerge stronger, refined by the trials they endure. This resilience is not merely a reflection of their own strength, but a testament to God's power working through them. As Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 12:9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." The chosen learn to lean on this grace, trusting that God will use their hardships to mold them into instruments of His purpose. Authenticity is another hallmark of the chosen. They are deeply committed to living in alignment with God's truth, refusing to conform to societal norms that contradict their values. This authenticity can make them stand out, sometimes uncomfortably, in a world that often prioritizes appearances over substance. The chosen are not content with superficiality. They seek depth, meaning, and integrity in every aspect of their lives. Their authenticity acts as a light, drawing others toward God's truth and encouraging them to embrace their own uniqueness. Spiritual awareness is perhaps the most defining trait of the chosen. They possess a heightened sensitivity to the workings of the Holy Spirit, often discerning things that others overlook. This awareness enables them to see beyond the surface, recognizing God's hand in both the ordinary and the extraordinary. It also equips them to navigate the spiritual battles that come with their calling, discerning when to act and when to remain still, when to speak and when to listen. Their connection to God is not just intellectual but deeply personal, rooted in prayer, meditation, and an unwavering faith. These markers set the chosen apart, but they also come with a cost. The chosen often feel the weight of their calling, sensing that their lives are not entirely their own. Their unique path can feel isolating, as few truly understand the depth of their struggles or the magnitude of their mission. Yet this separation serves a purpose. God uses it to sharpen their focus, deepen their faith, and prepare them for the work ahead. The chosen are not called for their own sake, but for the sake of God's kingdom. Their resilience inspires others to endure. Their authenticity challenges the world to embrace truth. Their spiritual awareness reveals the presence of God in a broken and distracted world. Through these traits, the chosen become beacons of hope, guiding others toward the light of Christ. If you have ever felt an unshakable pull towards something greater, or if you recognize these signs within yourself, it may be an indication that God has chosen you for a specific purpose. Embrace this calling with humility and courage, knowing that the path is not meant to be easy, but transformative. In walking this journey, you align yourself with God's divine plan, becoming a vessel for His love, grace, and truth to flow into the world. Strategies to embrace your calling. Embracing the life of a chosen one is a profound journey that requires intentional effort, faith, and trust in God's guidance. While the path may feel lonely at times, there are practical strategies that can help the chosen navigate their calling with grace, strength, and clarity. First, solitude must be embraced as a gift rather than feared as a burden. In the quiet spaces of life, God speaks most clearly. As Psalm 46:10 reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." Taking deliberate time away from the noise of the world allows the chosen to refocus their hearts and minds on Him. Practices such as journaling, meditation on Scripture, or spending time in nature can create an atmosphere where God's presence feels tangible. These moments of stillness are not a withdrawal from life, but a necessary pause to align with His will. Prayer is the cornerstone of a chosen one's strength. In prayer, the chosen find refuge, guidance, and the courage to face challenges. It is through this intimate conversation with God that they can cast their anxieties upon Him and receive the peace that surpasses understanding. Philippians 4:6-7. The chosen should cultivate a habit of consistent prayer, not only in moments of need, but as a daily rhythm of life. Short, heartfelt prayers throughout the day can keep the connection to God alive, reminding them of His constant presence. Building authentic connections is equally important, even as the chosen are called to a life of spiritual depth and separation. While the world often seeks shallow relationships, the chosen should pursue meaningful connections with those who share their values and faith. Proverbs 27:17 states, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." These connections can be found in small groups, church communities, or through mentorship with like-minded believers who understand the unique challenges of their calling. Lastly, trust in God's timing and purpose. The chosen must remember that their path is not theirs to control, but to surrender to God. When feelings of isolation arise, they can find comfort in his promises. Isaiah 41:10 reassures, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you." By embracing solitude, strengthening their prayer life, and seeking authentic relationships, the chosen can walk confidently in their calling. Through every step, God provides the wisdom, courage, and peace they need to fulfill their divine purpose. Walking the path of purpose. The journey of the chosen is one of courage, faith, and transformation. Though it may feel solitary at times, it is a path illuminated by God's love and guidance, leading to a life of profound purpose. Embrace the calling with confidence, knowing that your struggles shape you, your solitude refines you, and your faith sustains you. Take a moment to reflect on your spiritual path. Where is God leading you today? Join this community of believers as we walk this journey together. Subscribe now and let us continue to seek His truth and share His light with the world.